What's going on, guys? Welcome back to ETB Boxing, where we bring the story behind every punch and every fight. Today we're going to review some predictions that some of the most iconic boxers and boxing individuals in the game are going to really tell their opinion. It's fight week. You know, we want to hear what people are saying, what people have said, and what maybe some people will say later. Everybody changes their mind. So we're going to start with Amir Khan. Now, to put this in perspective, we're going to start with Amir Khan. They're going to go Bivol, and then we might go Teddy Atlas and some other people, but I'm only going to do 3 or 4, maybe 3. Anyway, remember, guys, Amir Khan's the only one that's ever fought Crawford and Canelo. So let's hear what he has to say.
I've got to ask you about Crawford and Canelo. You've been in the ring with both of them fighters.
I think I might be the only guys that's.
I can't think of anyone else that has, obviously, because there's a big weight disparity between the two. So
I think I'm the only guy that's been in with both fighters. So yeah, I'm thinking of maybe going there. I've been asked to go there and obviously give my input on the fight before they go in the ring. And obviously I know both fighters. Canelo's a friend now after our fight we had, and also Crawford had shared training camp with him as well. It's a good fight. Well, I'm not going to say too much.
Okay.
I'm going to save it till on the day of the fight.
Okay.
But look, it's going to be a mega fight. Honestly, it's hard to pick the winner. Yeah. But like I said, it's a close one.
I know you said you don't want to say too much, but when people talk about Crawford boxing on the outside and using his movement, almost making it boring in a sense, do you think he can do that with the added weight that gets put on and him boxing in that certain style that we haven't really seen him box like before? In terms of boxing on the outside and almost sort of that stick and movement type.
Talking about Crawford, yeah?
Crawford, yeah.
Look, Crawford's going to probably do the same thing that he knows best, which is box, be smart, slow movements, small steps. So only small steps he's taking. So I mean, look, and it's always worked for him. Every fight he's been in, we thought that the fight with Spence was going to be hard, and he made it look so easy. Now, we've never really seen him in a hard fight where we've seen him in trouble. So maybe this could be the fight that puts him in that trouble to see what he's going to be like when he's under pressure. Yeah. You know what I mean? We've never seen either fighter under pressure, like a lot of pressure. I mean, you can't say.
Maybe Golovkin for Canelo, I guess.
Yeah,
you could say.
Exactly. Yeah, Golovkin. Yeah. But other than that, I don't class the Mayweather fight a hard fight because Mayweather just a runner, wasn't he?
Yeah. But, I guess Bivol had the size.
Bivol had the size advantage, but this one, I think Canelo has the size advantage. But then again, I've always said Crawford puts on the weight well. If you look at size of him, you see his picture when he was like 185. He looked huge, bro. He looked jacked up and he looked strong at the weight as well. I mean, I remember when I used to spar with him, and I think, wow, he's heavy and he's heavy-handed as well.
People don't give as well,
yeah. People don't give him the credit for his power. Crawford bangs hard, man. I mean, and also has that muscle strength. I saw him in the gym when I was training with them, wrestling heavyweights and taking them down, wrestling. So I don't know if you know this, but Crawford is, I think he was like one of the top national wrestlers.
He was a good wrestler. I think he wrestled when he was younger, and he was very. You always see him wrestling people at events.
He's strong in it. So he's one guy you don't want to fight because if you ever stand off with him, he's gonna try knocking you out. And if he takes you down, you're fucked as well. So I mean, but look, it's a great fight that we're gonna see because we've not really seen a fight where it's like it is a proper 50-50 fight. Why people are saying it's a 50-50 fight? Because Canelo has all the advantages, and Crawford has never been beaten. So that's why. And Crawford looks unbeatable. So it's gonna be a good fight.
Okay, 3 things. When Khan is saying that I've seen him wrestle down heavyweights, this isn't wrestling, this is boxing. Sure, yeah, when you clench, yeah, there's some small little techniques you can do to have some advantage to get someone tired, but it's boxing, guys, not wrestling. So to me, that doesn't mean anything when Khan says, I've seen him take down heavyweights. That's not a big deal. Okay. There's no advantage there, in my opinion. What do you guys think? Let me know. Give me a comment. 2. Many people like Roy Jones are saying Crawford has all the advantages. Khan just said Canelo has all the advantages. I think the advantages for Crawford are more for his skill. I mean, he's the better boxer, guys. Canelo fans, that's the truth. Crawford's a better boxer. But does it mean, that they're going to translate to this weight. And all I can say is both fighters fought Amir Khan. Both of them knocked him out. But let me ask you, who did the better job? Who finished him off better? Canelo Alvarez or Terence Crawford? If you haven't seen the fight between Canelo Alvarez and Khan and Terence Crawford and Khan, go check it out. You let me know who did the better job. Leave me a comment. All right, let's continue.
Crawford is a great fighter, but that's why we have weight divisions. I think that Canelo has proven as he has risen in the weights. He's dealt with the best in his weight divisions that he's at now. He fought Bivol, and Bivol couldn't hurt him. He fought my guy, and my guy couldn't hurt him in 2 fights. The third fight I wouldn't even count as a fight. But to have a guy come up from 140 pounds in such a short period of time, I'm not saying he couldn't have done it. If he'd have taken 3 or 4 years like Canelo did and built up not only his strength, but his bulk in the correct way, he would have had a better chance. But to do it in these 14, 15 months that he's done it in, it's going to be difficult for him. I think that it's a tough fight at the first 3 or 4 rounds because of his speed, just like when we took Golovkin to fight Kell Brook. Kell Brook, being a welterweight, was a little faster, quicker at the beginning. But once Canelo assimilates the speed and assimilates the movement, and Crawford's going to be a lot slower because of the weight also. Once he does that, I think it'll be a sparring session for Canelo, as it is in most of his last 4 or 5 fights. After the 5th or 6th round, it seems like it's a sparring session. He's doing whatever he wants.
Do you feel like people don't realise it with Crawford? Like when he's putting this weight on, this is almost weight that may not even be beneficial to him.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to benefit him. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he weighs fight night. If the reports that I've read, he's up at 180 pounds, 190 pounds. So if he drops down to 168, I think it'll be too much. I thought that maybe 160, 158 maybe was the best for him. But if he's comes in at 168 or 170 pounds by fight night, 175, I think it'll be too much. I think he'll be slower. He's not going to punch any harder just because he got the weight.
Well, Abel Sanchez has been pretty steady on that position, but the weight will be too much. Traditional thinking in boxing, that's a pretty good take. Traditional thinking in boxing, that's a pretty good take. The X factor is Crawford that extra special person that he can go up in weight and still take his talents with him. He's still going to have a lot of talent, a lot of ability, but the extra weight does make a difference. And everybody's saying that Crawford might be the bigger guy in the fight. I think that's pretty foolish to think that. I think that real hardcore boxing fans know that's probably not an accurate analysis. But he's definitely the more skillful fighter. Is he the stronger fighter? I don't think so. But if it's even in the strength, Canelo's going to have a long night. Let's continue. If you enjoyed the content, click like and subscribe to the channel, guys. A lot of you guys watch my content aren't subscribed. We really appreciate it. We'd really appreciate your help in growing this channel. Thanks. Let's continue.
The question is, can you hit him with combinations? And both guys are hard to hit. With the 2-piece, hard to hit.
So who has the best footwork out of the 2?
In terms of cutting off the ring, last fight notwithstanding, Canelo has gotten much better at cutting off the ring. But, early in his career, he had a problem with that and was much more comfortable counterpunching. But overall, I have to say Crawford. If you go down the list and ask me about tactical advantages, most of them are Crawford. What Canelo has is size, and as a result, physical strength and punching power. Canelo also has a great chin. But in terms of, if you want to go skill for skill, especially the recent version of Canelo, who's had to turn into a seek and destroy guy, who had to learn as his career went on to cut off the ring and not just follow guys around. Like Lara, Trout, Floyd, he followed those guys around. He had trouble because he's really a natural counterpuncher who wants you to come to him. But in recent years at super middleweight, he's gotten really good at cutting off the ring. Again, last fight notwithstanding. So as an overall suite of skills, recent vintage, it's been Crawford. Okay. But Canelo also is skilled and has a larger skeleton than Crawford. No matter what they weigh, Canelo's the bigger guay.
Yeah. You briefly mentioned Canelo's power, so who, I would assume Canelo has the
You'd
most.
have to think, unless Crawford, Crawford was on a knockout streak until he moved up to junior middleweight and then failed to stop Madrimov. So, and Canelo, though he has not stopped anyone in a while, we've seen he's a real puncher at 68.
Okay. So if Crawford had stopped Madrimov, I would have said, watch out. Watch out. This might not even be a 50-50 fight. But Max Kellerman is consistent in his position about, Canelo's a bigger guy. And if that's true, then what is Crawford going to do to mitigate that? Mitigate that advantage? Because it's a big advantage to be a bigger guy and stronger guy. And it's different to say, well, he's bigger and stronger, but I'm faster and quicker at 147, at 154, but at 168, how much of that speed are you going to have? Let's continue watching.
You're talking about 2 pound for pound greats. I mean, generational great is a strong word. I was having some good sort of, I want to say like argumentative banter with Crawford because he was on the plane. And I was basically saying to him that he's unlucky that he's not had the elite opposition that could necessarily make him a generational great. And he is a generational great talent. If that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like you look at Canelo's resume, I mean, it is unbelievable, I think. But Crawford hasn't really had the fights. Like when you look back, but I said to him, who's your best win? And he said, Ricky Burns. Right? Now, Ricky Burns, I mean, we was a freeweight world champion, he's one of my fighters, but with all due respect, Ricky Burns was a great champion, but where's the pound for pound wins? And really, I said to him, Errol Spence was damaged goods going into that, and he kind of acknowledged that, do you know what I mean? This is the fight that will make, right? And I've got to...
Yeah, interesting. I don't know if you caught that, guys, but what Eddie Hearn is saying, I don't know, he's a promoter, Matchroom Boxing, but listen to what he said. He said your best win was against Spence and he was damaged goods. And according to Eddie Hearn, he kind of acknowledged it. I don't know, man. I mean, I've always thought, I don't want to take anything away from Crawford, but if you see that wreck and you're going to tell me that he just only had bruise and scratches after that wreck, I don't buy that at all, guys. Because you got to remember, if you start saying like, oh, he had a concussion, a TBI, and all this and that, and so his value as a fighter goes down, and so he's not as marketable if he's damaged. Because that's my opinion and my naive perspective, but I'm just using general common sense. But that's what Eddie Hearn just said. He said that Spence was damaged goods. I don't know. I mean, and he said that Crawford acknowledged it. So if that's true, Terrence Crawford's best win, I said if, I'm not hating on him. I said if that's true, Terrence Crawford best win was probably Ricky Burns, and that's not very, very legendary fighter there. But I thought it was interesting, Did you guys think that Spence was washed up after the car crash that he had, or you thought he was like pretty good? He had 2 fights after that car crash, but it was against Danny Garcia and that Cuban guy, I don't remember, not real world beaters. So I don't know. What do you think?
Say after the other night, I give him every chance in the fight. I really do. I think size is going to be a problem. Is Canelo getting old? Like he's, I don't know. How much is he still? I mean, the one thing that's so admirable about Canelo Alvarez is that he keeps competing and he keeps having these training camps and he's still got that fire in his belly. Is that the case, or are you telling yourself that? Do you know what I mean? I think for the Crawford fight, he'll really get himself up for that fight. I just think the movement is going to cause him a lot of problems. And if I'm honest, Crawford's got to fight a bit of a boring fight to beat him. And In a way, I mean, he'll engage a lot more than Skull, don't get me wrong, but the way to beat Canelo, I mean, I had the fight quite close, if I'm honest. 115, 113, maybe 116, 112. And that was Skull. You know, Crawford's on another level to that. So it's a great fight. It's a very intriguing fight. I do think the size will be an issue because I don't really think Crawford's a big 154 pounder. And just because you see him head to head, look, I've had many fighters fight Canelo. Everyone goes, bloody hell, look at the size of him compared to Canelo. Callum Smith, Rock. It really don't matter. It really doesn't matter. And this isn't really about size. I think it may play a part, but I think this is more about skill and game plan.
Crawford.
Well, for all the Canelo fans, you heard Eddie Hearn. He kind of wanted to. He's considering that maybe Canelo's getting old. You know, he still got it, but he's not youthful anymore, but he still got it. But here's what I will tell the Canelo fans. If Canelo's body decides to get old that night, that's the worst night for him, for his body to not respond. That's basically what I'm saying. And it could happen. But it could also happen to Terrence Crawford. If that night, the 38, 39-year-old body and all the vigor and all the training, all the weight gain he's been pushing, even though he's been out for a year, maybe that night he'll age too. Who knows? Those are pretty good points. I got one more.
Against Terrence Crawford. What do you, when you first heard about that fight, the idea of it, what was your reaction?
First reaction, of course, it was about size of Crawford. Is it okay for him to move up for 2 weight classes, yeah, or not? But then I saw him in Dubai maybe a month ago. I saw he's big, and he has very good skills. He's one of my favorite boxers. He able to win this fight, but there is a lot of but, and even not but. There is a lot of things, small things, which we don't know how he will deal with this. He needs to get used to the power and pressure of 168 because it's different, big difference to be honest. Maybe he will get used to it, and how he will be healing himself at the same day when he will fighting, how his training camp will go on, a lot of things. But he's able, he has good skills, he's awkward, he can use the 2 boxing stands. It gives him benefits, of course.
I was at that same event in Dubai just before Christmas, and I saw him too, and I thought exactly the same thing, which is that he is quite big.
Yeah.
Size obviously is important. Jamel Charlo stepped up from super welterweight to super middleweight to box Canelo, and it didn't work at all for him. But Crawford is, I mean, he's one of the best fighters in the world, isn't he? I mean, obviously, you rate him very highly.
Yeah, you know, with it's not about only getting used to the power, and it's also about be mentally ready. Because when people are not prepared them mentally, they like afraid or scared. You become weak. Your body become weak. You know, when something happened and something new and you wasn't ready for this, we all know these feelings, like the body become melting, like just soft, you know. And mentality is very important also for this fight. Even his 1 weight class or 2 weight class lower, if he's mentally ready, he will be ready to get these punches and be okay with this. He could be good. At the same time, we saw how Canelo was fighting against another guys like Charlo, maybe Smith, Callum Smith, and we saw the huge difference. I think it's not because of weight class; it's about mentality of the opponent.
That's interesting because, as you say, sometimes you see a fighter take on a big challenge, and early in the fight, they seem to panic. And as soon as you see them panic, you know that it's over.
You don't know that it's over, but it
Usually,
gives
though.
you more
Usually,
credits,
though.
of course.
Yeah.
It gives his opponents more credit, of course.
So-
Because sometimes if the person is scared one in the troubles, and you wanna beat him up, he could just throw one punch, and knock his opponent out. You should be careful, even his in this mental position.
So at the very highest level, you mentioned mentality. The reason I feel that Crawford has a good chance of winning is because it will be very hard for Canelo to break him, to break his will. And at the highest level, that's what you're trying to do to each other, isn't it? To break the other person's will.
Yeah, it's for him, how I saw him, mentality, he's strong mentally, and he won this fight from the core, how I see, and it gives him credit with this mentality to get the power from 168. This is, we cannot say just only mentality or only sparring partners to get used to this weight. This is the combination of all. He need to spar with bigger guys. He need to get punches. He need to be confident that he's okay with these punches. He need to be confident that he will go in the ring and he could get the punches from Canelo and he will be okay with.
What did you make of the fight?
Well, Bivol is not, the most high energy speaker, but he's basically talking about the intangibles, that the intangibles are going to determine the fight. He said small things, but he really means intangibles. And that's going to be the difference maker. Everyone's saying 50-50. I keep saying this. I don't think it's a 50-50. I think it's 60-40, 70-30. We just don't know towards who. And after 3 or 4 rounds, we're going to know, who has the advantage. But 30% could still win. But, that's what I think. 70-30. Anyways, what do you guys think about the predictions? Anybody you agree with, disagree with? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for stopping by. That's The Punch. That's the story. That's ETB Boxing.